Good evening, good evening, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Thursday Thoughts. My name is Lisa McDaniel, and I am here to first of all thank you for joining us every Thursday. We haven't seen y'all in a couple weeks. We've been out in the community, busy doing things, trying to get our brand out there and make sure we stay involved. So we apologize for not being with you the last couple of weeks, but we have open mic tonight. So we've had a couple of our viewers send us topics on things that they just want to discuss, things that they want our viewers to chime in, give them a little advice on, or just say, hey, this is what I would do, whatever. So, a couple of those topics I will go ahead and give you. You can chime in the comments. And if you want, you can come on live with us if you would like. We can invite you. You just let us know what it is you want to do. So, the first topic of discussion is when you first begin dating someone, how do you know that this person is worth your time, or when do you know when it's time to cut them off? How do you go about discerning whether or not this person is to stay in your life or if you should let them go? Chime in, let us know what your thoughts are. The other question is, how do you deal with in-laws that just drive you absolutely mad and crazy? How do you deal with in-laws that drive you crazy? So I'm going to kind of chime in a little bit on both of those. And y'all chime in so that my viewers can get their questions, comments, concerns ready or answered. So how do you deal with in-laws that are a little bit different, a little nerve-wracking to say the least? First of all, remember that your in-laws are your significant other's parents. That's the first line of business. Remember that they're your significant other's parents. At the end of the day, you know, you love your significant other, and if you say something bad about their mama or daddy, flat out, people just don't forget, y'all. They don't forget about it. They don't forgive, and it could just cause a whole lot of issues. So first of all, just remember it's that other person's parents. Second of all, I think there should be healthy boundaries. I think that when you are married or in a relationship and you have to deal with your significant other's parents, family, whatever, I think there should be healthy boundaries. I think that you have to address issues, concerns head on and early. You know, if your in-laws are doing things that you feel like are crossing the line or interfering with for example, the way you raise your children, then I think you need to speak on it. I think that first there should be a conversation with your significant other. And then I think that it's your significant other's role and responsibility to kind of bring that up to their parents. You don't want to be the bad guy, but at the end of the day, you have to address those things early on so that they don't fester and so that it doesn't impede on your relationship with them or even your relationship at home. Thirdly, pray for them, because I have a couple of friends that I know that have some really difficult in-laws, and they struggle with how to deal with them. They struggle with how to allow their children to be a part of their life. They struggle with, you know, am I being the bad guy because I'm telling my significant other that these things are bothering me? They struggle, guys. And so I think pray for them. Pray for them. Pray for your significant other, and you and your significant other come together and try to come to an agreement to draw some healthy boundaries and have a conversation. So I think communication, you know, we always go back to, no matter what we discuss on Thursday Thoughts, it all goes back to communication. So you have to be open to communicate, to be able to freely, openly, and honestly discuss how you feel. The next question was, how do you know when you are in a dating situation whether or not you should keep dating this person or cut them off? So I attended a church on Sunday, and the pastor was very specific on, you are given a discerning spirit for a reason. So first of all, I'm going to say that when you have that red flag and it's very strong, then that's probably not the person for you. I'm also going to touch on nobody is perfect. So I think you have to evaluate. Are you just being petty? Are you just being way too picky? Are you wanting someone to be perfect, or truly their values don't align with yours? Because at the end of the day, that's really, what the major issue usually is. If this person's values are not aligning with who and what you are, it's a no. Cut it off. Don't let it go no further. Don't waste your time. I think that women, I'm not a man, so I really can't speak for how men deal with things, but I think we as women always want to offer another chance, another chance, another chance. Then we get so far as to get in relationships and we're like, oh, it'll change, he'll mature, he'll get older, it'll get better. No, he is what he shows you today. Bottom line, he is what he shows you today. Now, is it possible for a person to change for the better? Absolutely. People grow, people mature, things change, all of those things. But if it's giving you a concern, then you have to make a decision and you need to choose wisely, because what you don't want to do is enter into something long term that you're already unhappy and uncomfortable with. So when you have to question it, I need you to go ahead and think real hard on whether it's worth the time, effort, and energy that you're putting it into. While we're waiting on other people to comment, I also want to show y'all this here little t-shirt that I have on. The light's kind of blocking it, but we have new season t-shirts for sale. I will put a link in the comments and make sure that you know where to go so you can rock new season. We got to get the word out there, y'all. There are big things coming in the future, and I want to make sure that everybody's on board. New season, y'all. It's a new season. So, thank you, Tia. Tia says she loves my shirt. Thank you. So Angelica says, I agree. They wouldn't be here if it weren't for them. Sometimes I forget that. Yes, you have to be careful. You really have to be careful with who and what and the way you address significant others. Parents, y'all got to be careful. That's their mama and daddy at the end of the day. And I know how I would feel about mine if they were still alive, and ain't nobody getting ready to cross them up. Now, you can tell me that something they did offended you or something they did you didn't like, and we can talk about it, but you gotta be careful at your approach. So Demetrius says, we as men also provide many opportunities for the women with whom we're dealing to get their act together. It's not just a female thing. Now, I will agree wholeheartedly. I have many brothers, many uncles, and I was raised around a lot of men. And I would have to agree, Demetrius, I do think that it's a two-way street. It's not always the men who need to get their act together. I've seen a whole lot of women, including myself. There's always areas that I will say that I need to work on or that I need to be better at, because I can pout and throw a fit and I like to have things my way. And sometimes I get caught up in being controlling, and I have to remind myself, okay, is it me or is it him? And every now and then, ladies, we have to check ourselves. We need to check ourselves and realize whether or not our expectations of someone else. We can't ask somebody to be something we're not willing to be. I say this all the time. You can't ask somebody to give you something that you're not willing to give. So I agree, Demetrius. It's not just a female thing. Women, we take men through the ringer too. Not me, because I'm a angel. I'm just playing. But yes, we take men through things too. So Katie says, I also agree with you. If you aren't okay with who they currently are, they will not change, so move on. Exactly. But I think also we have to remember that, have you taken the time to get to know somebody, y'all? Somehow or another, we always get back to this relationship thing. Here's my thing. Have you taken the time to get to know somebody? Sometimes I was watching, I think his name is R.C. Blanks or Blakes or something like that. And he's a pastor and he always is giving women advice or whatever. And I was watching the other day and, so much of what he said was true. We as women, we don't ask questions. We so anxious to get married. We so anxious to say we got a man. We so anxious to want Facebook approval or social media approval or the approval of our friends or whatever, that sometimes we rush ourselves into decisions that we have no business even being it yet. Take your time. Get to know them. Spend time together. I always say, wait till you see that bad side. Everything can be good in the beginning. It could be great. It could be loving. But wait till you go through another season. Wait till you see what they're like when they're angry, what they're like when they're happy, what they're like when they're sad. Take time to figure out what their issues are. Because we all have issues. Bottom line, and you can't take for granted that somebody else is aware of what your issues are, aware of how to handle you when you're going through things. Take some time. Stop being in a rush, ladies. There's men that are in a rush, but I'm talking to my sisters right now. We have to take some time. Take some time. Make sure you know you. Make sure you're in a healthy spot. And this goes for both questions that we've addressed, y'all. Make sure you're at a healthy spot when you, one, are in a marriage, when two, you're in a relationship, three, when you're dealing with other people, period, but specifically your significant other's family. Hey, dig deep, figure out what your stance is, and be polite, be conscious, be engaged. Y'all have to remember that. You have to remember how you treat people, okay? Angelica says, compromise, compromise, compromise. I had to learn that one. Yes, it's always a compromise. You're not always going to get your way. Things aren't always going to be what you want them to be. Your mother-in-law, your father-in-law aren't always going to say things that you like. But you know what? They got to that place and they earned their spot. So sometimes you just got to listen to what they say, let it go in one ear, out the other, grin, I love you. And hey, when it's time to go home, leave whatever they said there. It's just that simple. Everything doesn't have to be a battle. And I think sometimes, as individuals, we turn everything into a battle. Everything is a situation. It doesn't have to be a situation, y'all. It doesn't have to be a situation. So Demetrius says, we are all guilty of having elevated expectations without taking into account that we all are healing from a past ordeal. So just because I come off one way doesn't mean I can't heal and become the best version of myself. I totally agree. We are who and what we've been through. And at the end of the day, Demetrius, I would have to agree with you. There are a lot of things and a lot of ways that I act. I've never saw you on Thursday Thoughts. So welcome, Demetrius, to Thursday Thoughts. Welcome, Miss Kenya. I've never saw you on Thursday Thoughts either. So I'm so glad y'all here. But many of my viewers already know what I've been through over the last year. I have lost both of my parents, just gone through a whirlwind of things. But at the end of the day, I know that how I lost my parents, what I've had to go through dealing with their loss and not having them has a lot to do with how I deal or manage my relationship. And so I have to be very careful that I am, one, very open, honest, and about what I need, about when I need it, and about what hurts me, because sometimes people don't even know that they've been on, hurt your feelings. They don't know you've had a bad day. They don't know that you've been crying all day because you've had a significant loss. They don't know that whatever you might be going through, you got to communicate that. You can't take for granted that a person knows who and what you need. You have to, got to communicate. If I call my girls and say, hey, I'm having a bad day, or they're calling me, I shoot them a text right back and say, today is not a good day. I am perfectly fine, but I'm at home in my bed and that's where I want to be. I want to cry until I'm better. And you know what? They give me that space and the respect to be exactly where I'm at in that moment. Bottom line. But I love them enough, I respect them enough, and I value the fact that they care about me, that I communicate that to them. So I think sometimes it's just a communication thing. Sometimes I think people just don't know what to do. They don't know how to handle you. They don't know, maybe they don't even know you well enough to know that you're going through or what you need to do. So I think we got to take a whole lot of things into consideration. So there's that answer. Another question that was brought up on our live a couple of weeks ago, we had an open topic and discussion where someone wanted to get advice on how you manage dating when you have children. So I know that a lot of us chimed in and helped answer some questions, on our Facebook page, but I also wanted to give you guys an opportunity. If you have any advice, chime in. Let us know what you think. How do you manage dating when you have children? Well, I would first have to say, because I have children, that you take your children's feelings into consideration. One, you have to be careful because you need to make sure that they're even ready for you to start dating. You have to make sure that they're open for you to start dating, and they may give you a little resistance, but you got to keep talking to them. You got to keep talking to them, y'all. You have to keep the lines of communication open. So if you want to chime in on that topic, please go ahead and chime in. LaTanya says, sometimes we as women need to take time to get to know ourselves before we add a man to the equation. It's one thing to have a man versus a man having you and meeting your needs. Well, come on, somebody. I totally agree. I think a lot of times, y'all, like I just said earlier, we as women, as people, I'm so sorry. Somebody calling me, y'all. We as people, we forget that we have to slow down, y'all. We move too fast. Get to know yourself. I think a lot of times we go into dating situations and we don't even know who we are. We don't even know what we want. We don't even know what we like. I've been guilty of it. And you know what? When I finally maneuvered myself out of that situation, I decided never, ever, ever, never again. I am now certain in what I want and how I want it. And there's just no moving on that. You know, there is an expectation. But I don't ask anybody for more than I'm willing to give. And again, I think a lot of times we as women, we grow up watching Cinderella. We grow up thinking it's love and basketball and we gonna shoot a hoop for your heart and all that. Y'all do know that ain't gonna work, right? That's not how it works. But we grow up in this fantasy. We grow up in this facade that, oh, we're going to get in a relationship and everything's going to be great. No, you're going to get in a relationship and you're going to have some good days. You're going to have some bad days. And every day you're going to have to work at it. And I think that we have to remember that as a whole. Men, women, indifferent. You've got to remember that relationships are hard work. And every day you have to work at them. Every day you have to nurture them. Every day you have to figure out a way to do things differently and to do things decent and in order. Tia says, I want to thank my sister and friends for chiming in. You guys are amazing. Thanks for supporting my best friend. Thank you, Tia, for inviting your friends. I really appreciate it. I appreciate everybody for coming on tonight. Does anybody else have a topic that they want to discuss or something, a question that you just want us to throw out there? Because we have plenty of time. LaTanya says, unfortunately and fortunately, I do ask for more than I need when it comes to a man. Laugh out loud. Okay, so y'all would just have to know LaTanya. That's my big sister. And yes, yes, you are a special creature, but we won't get into that on Facebook Live. What I will say about you is, though, I think that your past relationship, sis, has groomed you, prepared you for the best that God has for you. And I think that even though sometimes we feel like you are so harsh and ain't no way in the world we would date you, we see the fruits of you having goals, of you having expectations when it comes to men, of you having expectations, even when it comes to being a mother or being a professional. I think that you and Curly have truly set the stage for us as young women coming up under y'all on what we should value in a man, on what we should expect. And y'all let us bump our head a couple times, but I think that those examples sometimes aren't given. I think that a lot of times we as young women fail our younger women by not having open conversations, not being realistic with them, not telling them, hey, he might be great, he might be loving, but y'all gonna have some bad days. And you have to prepare for those, y'all. You got to prepare for them. Every situation is not a throw in the towel. Tia, I'm going back to you. Every situation is not a throw in the towel. Sometimes we have to maneuver ourselves. Sometimes we have to trust the process. And I had somebody tell me that about 6 months ago, that you just have to trust the process. Trust the process. I've learned that when you trust the process, it can actually be okay. But you have to trust the process. And I think when you trust the process, you get to know a lot about you. You get to know a lot about other people. And I think that at that point, you're able to make a sound decision on whether to stay or whether to go. But trust the process. Trust the process. Anybody else have something they want to say? Any more questions? Let me scroll through and see if we have any more questions. I think I have one. I had a question that was just texted me and I didn't get a good chance to glance at it. But basically the question was, how do you have difficult conversations with your significant other that may be offensive to them, but you still need to have it? Well, first of all, I think that before you have any difficult conversation with your significant other, I think you need to pray about it. That's just first and foremost. You need to pray about it. You need to pray for wisdom. You need to pray for guidance. You need to pray for empathy. You need to make sure that you are conscious and well versed on how to handle that situation, y'all. You can't just go in thinking you just getting ready to talk at somebody. You talk to, you discuss your tone, all of that, your body language. Don't wait till it's a major situation and then tempers are flaring and you want to talk about it. Well, it's a little late. It's a little late, y'all. Nothing is going to come of that when you come in with tempers flaring. So I think that when you have to have a difficult conversation with your significant other, I think it's very important that you pray about it. I think it's very important that you remember they have feelings. I think it's very important that sometimes you might need to write it down. I know I put a lot of things in my notes on my phone, and a lot of times it has taken some time for me to learn to be able to communicate effectively, because I used to be one of those people that held everything in, and then when all hell break loose, it just all break loose. But that's not healthy. That's not communicating, and that's not how you dig into a relationship when you need to address things. So I think that you need to talk. But you can't wait, y'all. Again, you can't wait until it's a pot flowing over. Get it while it's small. Get it while it's festering and say, hey, baby, maybe we should talk. And I know I've heard men hate that. We need to talk. So maybe find another language, some other type of verbiage to be able to address it. Okay? So North says the process is the breeding ground for better. Once you abort the process, you abort the ability to come through what you're in. That's why you must go through it. It will release the lessons and wisdom needed to be better and give to the next person who will grow through what you've been through and conquered. Okay. Lashana says, totally agree with what you said about the difficult conversations. It's all about your tone and body language. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. Exactly. I mean, we all are adults. We all know that we're not going to like everything that another person does. And I mean, that could be your significant other. That could just be your friend. That could be your kids or whatever. But y'all, we got to be careful at how we address each other. There's a respectful way to have a difficult conversation. Your words should always say, I love you and I care about you. That's what your tone should be giving off. I love you and I care about you. That's why we're having this conversation. Because if I didn't care, I wouldn't be here trying to discuss whatever it is. And that kind of ties back into the in-law question. It's all about how you address it, y'all. It's all about being loving, being tender, being kind. I think you gotta remember the respect. And like I say all the time, remember this. If you don't remember anything else, y'all, stop expecting other people to do something you're not willing to do yourself. Bottom line, a whole lot of things and situations will be cleared up if you stop having a higher expectation for somebody else than you're willing to have for yourself. Just cut it out. If you don't want to be true and real in a relationship, then don't expect them to be true and real in a relationship. Move about your business and leave them alone. Leave them alone. Free them so somebody else can be blessed with their presence. Because you flat out aren't ready and you don't deserve it. You reap what you sow. Remember that. I'm just saying. Hey, Mario. You new to the group as well. Look at us. New season's popping tonight. Angelica, I'm glad you're learning something. And since we have you on here, I'm going to tell you I'm very proud of you. You have come a very long way from way back in our DCF days. You've come a long way, and I'm very, very proud of you. So keep up the good work. Keep loving on them babies. Keep loving your husband. Being the wife that you're supposed to be, because that's where it's at. There is nothing out here in these streets. Christy says, when you are falling and have fallen in love, do you ever fall out? I have my own thoughts, but want to hear other people's thoughts. Well, sorry, y'all. Christy, I think that when you fall in love or when you love somebody, I don't think that you ever necessarily stop loving them. I think the magnitude in which you love them changes. You know, the Bible says we should love everybody. We ain't having Bible study, but I'm just going to put it out there. The Bible says you should love everybody. But I would be honest in saying the way or the manner in which I love people is different. I love everybody, but I love different people different ways. And it's just based off the basis of the relationship, where you're at, and whatever is going on with you and that person. So in answer to your question, I would have to say, I think people stop loving. They stop being in love. I don't necessarily think that they fall out of love. I think the way that they love that person changes. Sorry. I don't know if that answered your question, but that's what I think. I think that the way that you love somebody, I think it changes. I think based off the relationship, based off of the history, based off whatever is going on in that relationship, I think that things can change. And I think they change for different reasons. Look at my college babies chiming in. Hey, Journey. I think that people love in different ways. I think they love for different reasons. And I think that for whatever reason, I think sometimes loving relationships change. So anybody else have any thoughts on Christy's question? Christy says, when you are falling and have fallen in love, do you ever fall out? She says she has her own thoughts. So Christy, what are your thoughts? Since you have your own thoughts, but you want to hear what others have to say. So what are your thoughts? We'll give Christy a minute to tell us what her thoughts are. While she's doing that, I want to take this time to invite all of you to go to New Season on Facebook, NUSEASN. Like, share, follow our page. I also encourage you to follow our daily blog, y'all. It's good stuff out there. It's stuff that can encourage you, get you through your day. And sometimes you might just need to jump back on any given day and look at some old stuff just to inspire yourself. That webpage is www.nuseasn.com. Follow us on Twitter. Y'all can also follow us on, Facebook. We got Twitter. And on our webpage. So I guess I probably need to get hip to Snapchat, but it takes the young people to kind of get with me on all that kind of stuff. But I truly, truly thank y'all for doing that. Katie says, I agree. I think that person will always have to be a part of your heart, but that love changes over time. You may still think of them, but not like you used to. I totally agree. As a woman that has been married and divorced, I don't hate my ex-husband. I don't hate the father of my kids. But I don't love him like I did when we were married. I wish nothing but great things for him. But the love I have for him, or that I had for him, has nothing to do with my current situation or relationship. It takes no love away from the people that I choose to love, the people that I choose to have in my life. And I think that we always want to look at things like when the relationship is over, you got to hate the person. No, you don't have to do that. You can still like them. You can still love them from a distance and want what's best for them, but you're not in love with them. You don't want them to be a part of your romantic love relationship. We got to move beyond that, guys. We got to move beyond because a relationship don't work out, that you got to hate each other, that you can't have love for them. I didn't say be in love. I didn't say romantic love. I'm just saying, y'all. We got to get beyond, we got to hate somebody because a relationship didn't work. So Christy says, I believe people who have fallen or is in love never fall out. They just learn to put it in proper perspective to go on. And I think that you just hit it right there. The perspective changes. The way you look at it changes. And sometimes you have to do that in order to move on, in order to be healthy, in order to be who and what you need to be. So I totally agree. Hey, Tranda. Hey, Ed. Look over here. So Angelica says, it took a long time, but I thank God every day that I've been given self-worth. Not proud of my past and who I've hurt. Oh, you know what? I appreciate that. And I think that just like LaTanya said earlier, you got to love yourself first. You can't love anybody else until you love you. You can't be in any relationship until you learn to love you. You got to be okay with you. If you're not okay by yourself, then you're not going to be okay with anybody else. Bottom line. Bottom line. Well, y'all know we just do 30 minutes. So I wanted to thank y'all for chiming in this week. I love y'all so much. Go in, follow us. If you want a t-shirt, check us out. Click on the link. $12. You can be rocking new season. If you need larger shirts, 2X or higher, we have those as well by special order for $14. But hook us up. Get out here, support your girl. It's a new season, y'all. It's a movement. I love y'all. Have a wonderful Thursday. Holla.